Hey, one it is, which starts me a talking. Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn, and it was great the banner I was just having with Latif here before Chuck comes on camera, and we were talking about gold actually, and gold properties, and some of the history of Georgia, and how Georgia, a good portion of it was considered like the Wild Wild West. I mean, if you weren't near the coast in the original 13 colonies, the further west you went, the more wild, quote, it became. So, as part of the way to settle different areas across the country, they did the land lotteries. And you may picture, like in Oklahoma or whatever, these people with horses racing to get to the property. Well, the land lotteries here in Georgia operated by chance, and you literally got 40 acres and a mule. That's where that saying comes from. 40 acres and a mule. There was one particular lady that was very fortunate. She got a little more than 40 acres and a mule. She got what was to become the Creighton mine, the largest, most prolific gold producing mine in the eastern United States, and was up until around 1913, I believe it was, when the Etowah River that it had gone underneath, which is actually the river that creates Altoona Dam, a very large, well, it's an 8,000 acre reservoir. That river that had been flowing above the mine shaft to the Creighton mine finally decided to give way and flooded the tunnel. Everyone got out all right, but that was it. And there was not the technology like there would be now to pump out, seal the mine, and keep going. Think about this. Gold, I think at that time, was still at $17 an ounce, and it was profitable, still producing um, millions in gold at that price of gold. Think about with the gold knocking on the door of $3,400 an ounce now. Some of these mines that were borderline profitable, or maybe one man might be able to eke a living out of it at $17 an ounce. Well, not anymore. Even if you factor in, I think, the inflation curve and the value of things now relative, then I think you're still would be better off with gold at the price it is now, and the cost of living what it is now relative to then. And it wouldn't take much, you hit back then a pocket that holds 3 ounces of gold. Oh, you have $50. You hit a pocket now, 3 ounces of gold, $16,000. 3 ounces of gold, $10,000, just depending, where the gold market is at the time. But 3 ounces, say $10,000, that will go a long ways. The average pay in 1917 was probably about $35 a week. So, if you found $50 worth of gold, let's say stretch it out and you make it last 2 weeks. Well, I'll tell you what, if I found $10,000 worth of gold, 3 ounces worth, the same amount, that 10 grand in today's market will go much further. Point being that there's still a lot of gold, as I was telling Latif, to be found. Part of the Etowah River was diverted, and they created what looks like a mine shaft. It's actually a diversion channel so that they could get to the bottom of the Chestatee River, and they did other diversions for the Etowah River so that you could access the bedrock, because the water was the biggest. Remember, they don't have diving equipment then, don't have these powerful suction dredges. No, all that technology we have now, but still the water kind of gets in the way because crevice hunting is what you can do. And that is where a lot of gold nuggets wind up, due to their specific gravity being 19 times heavier than water, puts it right at the bottom until it hits bedrock. So that's where a lot of gold miners out in California are still hitting it big, taking metal detectors, digging into these crevices, but you have to be able to have access to them. So diverting water was a method used in many different places across the country. And what happened is they did it once. There's so much more of the river that diverting it would yield a lot of gold. But of course, that can't be done anymore for so many different reasons. But it doesn't mean that the gold went anywhere. There's still gold in them Thar hills, including backyards. So anyway, a couple other things I want to get to. We did the trivia this past week, and it was a question trivia. Now, I had done the What Am I trivias, but I had mentioned last week that if any new commenters, all you had to do, remember to get a hold of me, it's Shawn at gems.com. That's as simple as that, Shawn at gems.com. Now, there might be some other addresses that it used to be before. Those still work, but just try to remember Shawn at gems.com. That will get the comments or answers to the trivia straight to me. And I had said that any new commenters would receive a free brookite from that Karen had mined from Magnet Cove, Arkansas, a really hard to get specimen, and especially mine from one of the family members, really neat pieces, and prepared by me. Nobody wanted anything free. Not a single new person to even say, hey, here's my comment, send me my free item. It'd have been simple as that. And they didn't, you don't need, all you would have needed is a shipping address. You wouldn't have had to give up any credit card number, nothing, just an address to ship it to. And it would have been free, including shipping. But with nobody participating in that part, yet many watching the show, I think a better use of the time is going to be to forego doing the trivia. Now, from time to time, I might do it like a pop quiz, do a trivia if I have something neat to give away, or if I just am in the mood, or a what am I? So I probably may still do an occasional what am I. I think that's fun for everybody. But what we won't be doing is spending the time on the trivia. Now, that said, doesn't mean you can't send in comments. Comments are always wanted, good, bad, or ugly, or anything that may have a something you might be even remotely looking for that I might by chance have, or a comment about a mineral question, or just anything. So those are still welcome. I would then wonder why that to win those amazing, I have given away, let's see, approximately 380 items with a usual value of at least $50 an item or more. So do the math on that. And I invested a lot of time and energy and effort in wanting to bring as many of you into the show as possible, and why I gave away things of a much more value to you monetarily, but the value to me was aesthetically, and just the idea of getting something for answers or just playing, because you never know. Many times I gave gifts to multiple winners and whatnot. So I made it very easy for everybody to win, and most people have won 4 to 5 times a year. So with a lot of you watching the show but not doing the comment section, I think it's best if we still do include the comments and encourage those. Those only take a few minutes to read. The trivia taking up more effort and time. I think I'm going to spend that showing you more inventory. So let's start with what will be the last of the trivia part of the show, and then we'll have a lot of time to show you other items. So let's get going here. First, we have from Miss Gabby. So Miss Gabby, after I was talking, of course, last week about the needing to be more people commenting, and that's why I did the promotion on a free great mineral specimen by just sending in any kind of comment. So she writes, Shawn, I agree wholeheartedly with you. We need more competition in the trivia. It just doesn't feel right sometimes that it's only the half dozen of us regulars that keep winning. See how easy I made it? Not that we aren't very grateful for your continued generosity, and I do have complete respect and admiration for the regulars' loyalty, but some new blood in the competition would be very welcome. I've always been a little intrigued by poison rings. You have shown a few, and I finally decided to get one. Also got the fluorite muscovite specimen. I tell you what, that fluorite muscovite specimen, that was money in the bank waiting to be made if you look at things monetarily. Other than that, the bang for the buck on just the visual and the value of that was considerable. So well done. You know, if someone had bought those zircons, now remember to refresh everyone, those 3 green zircons I had tried to sell until I had actually dropped the price on those 3 green zircons that actually I was selling as 3 green tourmalines. So as low as $38 for the 3 pieces, which I think totaled 12 carats. Like $3 a carat. No one bought them at that, so I went up to $48. No one bought them for that. Then I got to looking at them. Okay, so let me continue. So Miss Gabby says, you know, if someone had bought those zircons as tourmalines, guessing most of us would not have figured out they were zircons, as I anyway don't have a Geiger counter. So I had confirmed with only one tool what they were, and that was using a Geiger counter, because green zircons are naturally metamict or become metamict. That means they lose their crystal form and become amorphous like an opal. So the crystal structure breaks down. In doing so, it makes them be a low zircon. It lowers their specific gravity, it lowers the hardness, and lowers the refractive index. So that one aspect of them becoming metamict is due to other impurities, and one of them can be uranium, another can be thorium, some rare earth elements, which, of course, a couple of them are radioactive. Now, not to the point that the stones themselves are very radioactive, but the environment that made them radioactive around them, or the impurities over time, it broke down their crystal structure. So I showed you right there with the Geiger counter, boom. As soon as they were radioactive, I knew that, and the color, that they were green zircons. Now, in hindsight, and we'll talk about that in a minute, there is a way to tell without having that equipment. So Miss Gabby goes on to say, but I do know a couple fellas in the geek group that do and would have figured it out now that I think more about it. I do have a large Metamit green zircon in my collection, and it was much more per carat than yours for sure. As I don't know how they wouldn't be, because I priced those so inexpensively. Great deal for anyone that wants to add something different to their collection. Basically a wink wink from Miss Gabby saying, get those zircons because they were priced well below, and they were well cut and relatively clean, because one of the things that metamictization can do to a green zircon is make it cloudy looking. And so there's also buyer beware, because there's a lot of green zircons in the market that are man-made. In other words, irradiated by man to make them green. And that's not what you want. I also have rosalite garnet specimen, but didn't know, or at least remember, that that grossular had its own name. Thank you. Almost got the fluorescent cerussite. May go back to see if it's available. You should, because once you see the fluorescence in the cerussite, you will go crazy and so appreciate it. It is ultra fluorescent. Okay, so a couple things back to, okay, what if it was you situation and trying to figure out what they were, green zircons or green tourmalines. Of course, what I did was what most all of you would do, and it, for me, was a huge mistake. I just did a quick visual through the gem tube. The gem tube cut down on the brilliance. I took the gem tube top off when I was just trying to look at them and saying, why aren't these selling? As soon as I did that, here's one of the first things that you'll notice for a difference between green tourmaline and green zircon, and that was the brilliance. And that is from a refractive index that is much higher than what tourmaline is, enough that it is a visual level of brilliance, additional brilliance. The other thing is being metamixed can leave them with a greasy feel. So if you have a tourmaline and have a green zircon, and you get the feel, and that is, one of the actually a type of grading that they give minerals, and it has to do with luster and or the basically the feel of it, where it's you know glassy, greasy, waxy, all these different terms. And so that is another way it will have a kind of greasy feel to it due to that. Now, crystal system is different, but when they're cut, you don't get to see that part. So it's tetragonal for zircon and tourmaline trigonal. The other thing, though, that you can get a feel for, and especially if they're close to the same size, so one thing that you'll notice because of the large difference is the specific gravity. Now, specific gravity is relative to water. So something, okay, let's see. So tourmaline has a specific gravity average of 3. So basically, a tourmaline is 3 times harder than water. If something had a specific gravity of 1, it would be like amber and float in water, just to give you a kind of a generalized idea of what specific gravity means. The other way to look at it is specific gravity of gold, pure gold, is 19 times heavier than gold. And if you do that relative to platinum, platinum is 21 times, so a little bit heavier than gold yet. So relative to zircon, zircon has a specific gravity of 4.6. So 4.6 compared to 3 for tourmaline, that's 1.5 times heavier, and that would be something that scales could tell the difference in, visually. That's like, to make it understand it easier, take a 1 carat diamond and a 1 carat zircon. A 1 carat diamond, 6.4 millimeter. You can get a 1 carat zircon that's also 6.4 millimeters, so you get the look-alike. But here is the first way that before they did the CZs testers and whatnot, which I never needed any of those, we threw it on the scales. Cubic zirconia weighed on average 80% heavier. So a 1 carat diamond, the same diameter in a CZ, would weigh a carat 80. So that is a tell right then, including small stones. There was such a huge difference in what amounts to the specific gravity. And that's the other way. So I have no doubt that even without a Geiger counter, that the geeks and those of you that you just put some thoughts together can figure those things out without some of the fancy, expensive tools that I might have. Now, back to your other great question on rosalite. Now, this is something that can be confusing. So I had talked about that beautiful Mexican garnet that was that raspberry color, and I referenced it, and it was one of the trivia questions, and the answer being, it was like, what was the rose or pink colored grossular garnet called? And the answer is rosalite. But here's the thing. Rosalite can be spelled a lot of different ways, right? So we go back to a couple of points that always need to be, and that's the root of the word. So rosalite, even though you're talking about a rose color, oddly enough, the name rosalite has nothing to do with the color of rose, pink, red, anything. It was named after a German mineralogist named Gustav Rose. Imagine that. So the rosalite that is spelled with an E is the one that can be very confusing. because that rosolite has nothing to do with garnet. That rosolite, ROSE, named after the German mineralogist, is a very cool, beautiful rose to pinkish red, stunning color, cobalt arsenate. Yep, it's cobalt arsenate and can have magnesium as well. So that's the oddly enough part also, because that mineral is a rose color and has nothing named, the name has nothing to do with the color. It's named after. Now, let's go back to the other possible spellings of rosolite. We have ROSO. That's the one that you need to remember for the correct spelling of the type of garnet that is called grossular. Let's go back to the original root word for grossular. That garnet, grossular, got its name after the color of gooseberries, because the gooseberry name, the Latin name, is Ribes grossularum, or Ribes grossularum. Grossularum. That is how grossularite garnet got its name, was originally after the color of a gooseberry. So we know now that grossular garnet comes in many other colors besides the color of a gooseberry. And that name for the rosolite is ROSOLITE. Rosolite. Now here's the kicker. The one that we would normally think, and the one that it is massively always misspelled, is rosalite. ROSALITE. Look that up in Mindat and you will get a big goose egg. Nothing. There is nothing there. It is completely misspelled any other way for talking about and referencing rosolite garnet, which is the pinkish, reddish variety of grossular garnet. That would be with an O. The E is a cobalt arsenate, and the one with an A is the one that is confused and is misspelled along, not only for the cobalt arsenate mineral, but it's also used and misspelled in the referencing the grossular garnet. So hope that got you straightened out. And so yes, the pinkish raspberry colored grossular garnet is a stone that can be referenced as rosolite with an O, rosolite with an O, but I would often probably follow it up with rosolite garnet. That would kind of explain it so that people in the pronunciation, you know what you're talking about. Okay. If all that made any sense. By the way, a couple things on zircon also. It's the oldest, I mentioned it was the oldest gemstone. It's because it's 4.3 billion years old, and because it does often contain thorium and uranium as part of its rare earth element makeup that it can have. That's all it takes for them to do radiometric dating. I was going to say carbon dating, but that only takes it out to about 5,700 years, because the half-life of the uranium isotopes within it and the breakdown, they can determine how old certain rocks are, because zircon is the oldest known gemstone, and it can be positively dated to being part of the Earth 4.3 billion years ago. I think they estimate the Earth's age is around 6 billion years old or something like that. So, relatively a new gemstone to the Earth's age, but compared to us mortals, it is a very, very old gemstone, and it is very useful for identifying rock formations around the world. All right, Miss Barbara says, "Hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSN crew, and the whole rock family. Want to let you know last week's episode was dated a month incorrectly. Congrats to both Gabby and Penny on their 12 out of 13 scores. Well done. I was successfully using dental picks to clean out Alabama clay from Chicken Night while watching the show." That would be Arkansas, but I think that was just a typo you wrote. Arkansas clay while watching the show. Very therapeutic. Lots of goodies to choose from this week, both old and new. It was nice to see that carved sapphire fish from long ago. That someone should get that. Hopefully you will get to process your buckets and find some gold nuggets like you offered. Yeah, those ones I offered, I would love to find some that size. As to the trivia, cerussite was the lead carbonate, because that was the question. Metamict was the state of the green zircon, and rosolite was the raspberry grossular garnet. And Miss Barbara spelling it correctly with the O. Keeping this short so you get all to show all the items you bring. We get a touch of summer about the time you record this show, so time to install the ACs and start hiding from the biting bugs. Take care, all. Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. What? We were already melted without ACs. So Cindy in Pennsylvania says, "Hello, Rock family. Awesome show and awesome specimens this week. Can you tell me why, when the whole time I was doing the What Am I last week, my brain was saying vanadinite from Morocco, but I wrote and typed wolfenite?" Isn't that funny how we do that? Isn't that crazy? I have something, though, as a surprise about that. Why do brains do these things to us? I don't know, but the older we get, the more they do it to us, it seems. Now, here is a link. Yes, I bow down to you, Miss Cindy. You rock. She found the Travel Channel Amethyst episode link, and I am going to show and tell all of you. Well, I'm just going, yeah, because I wrote it here, because I tried it and it worked. All right, so for you to find the link, I actually have the link, but I didn't know how it would transfer other than me showing you a big bunch of letters, ups and, large and small case, all that. We're just going to do this. Go. Okay, so what this was, in 2007 to 2009, roughly, Becky Worley, who has been in the television industry a long time. She is still currently ABC, Good Morning America's tech guru. If anything new comes out, they have her on regularly all the time. During that period, there was a series called Best Places to Find Cash and Treasures. It ran for 3 years, and Becky would, with a production team, went around the country. They went everywhere, to outhouses, to going to these fields where they ran these huge magnetometers over these flat Kansas fields, because, and I'm talking about like 10 by 10 foot, these people created their own, to find giant meteorites, to hunting for morels, mushrooms, to hunting for ginseng, and to many different mines. And one of them was the Jackson Crossroads mine here in Georgia, which is truly world famous for its amethyst. So they took the crew, they dug amethyst, they found some amethyst, a place in North Georgia called Gold and Gem Grubbing that's open year round and is on 110 acres of the real genuine Loud Bottom gold mine claim, which dates back to the 1800s, and found a lot of gold there, and they still can. So they offer to cut your stones, because they have buckets that you can find and mine your own, or they sell buckets. They also offer gold buckets. So because they offered to be able to cut your stone, the production company offered to Golden Gem Cutting to be on the Travel Channel. They just needed a gem cutter. And of course, I had a great relationship with the owner, and he called me up. He goes, "You want to be on the Travel Channel?" I said, "Sure." And so that's how I got there. And still to this day, we're on the walls. We have a permanent pass to be on the property anytime. He has an amazing camping setup, not only for RVs, but for camping right along the river, mining for the family, a pond, fishing. He also, what I really respect him for, and of course, the Raven does, has a huge animal rescue operation that he funds himself, except he gets free food from one of the big food companies. and other than that, it's all his time. And they had he keeps personally 17 rescue dogs. Last we were there of his own that he considers his own. They're all very friendly and nice. But then the rescue portion had 50 to 75 other animals, well taken care of. So good for him on that, and maybe it brings good things to him. So with having done that show, you get to see me actually. It's a condensed version, I noticed. So I noticed it's not the full 30-minute show, even if you take out the commercial. So whoever put this up on the internet more recently than when the show ran, someone put it up, and which is pretty neat. But it seems to be edited somewhat. But anyway, you still get the general idea. You get to see me, and here's the real treat, because I couldn't get Latif to quit laughing, even after I asked him, "Don't laugh." Oh, here, I hear it back here now. Raven's going at it too. Yeah. So if you picture me, well, let's not even try to go there. I have the shortest hair. Quit. I hear him snickering now. He's snickering back. Look, and this one over here. Two of them. And if Chuck was here, he'd be doing the same. They're messes. You hear him? You hear him? You should, because I see the little meter on the sound meter going up and down. So you must be over here laughing because one person commented that I had the corporate look. Corporate look. Do you think I'm a corporate looking guy? You know, is that my shtick? No. The toothless, bearded old miner coming out of the forest and the woods, you know, looking like he had, well, maybe I have eaten a little possums and stuff. That's the look. That's the look. I'm the old mountain man, and that found a few bucks every mining season and came to town and traded it for potatoes and the rice, maybe some beans. What am I gonna do? Miss Cindy, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So here you go. So here how you do it. Everybody, you go to YouTube, right? Everyone knows how to do that. And you go to the little search area. That might be a magnifying glass or something like that. And then you put in gold and gem. So gold, and then with the letter N, and then gem all together, gold and gem. And then I would put amethyst and travel channel. That should pull up the episode. If you need to, put gold and gem, and then as a separate word, grubbin, Grubbin, gold and gem grubbin, and then amethyst and travel channel. Combination of it. What should pull up is Becky Worley, and then the rest you'll have to watch. Just look at the stone, okay? Don't look at the cutter or his hair. All right? Focus on the stone. And then after everyone's watched it, I am going to tell you a couple inside, blooper parts to the show. Okay, so well done. Then Miss Cindy, you wrote in the description was this, and there wasn't anything after that. And even you always participate in trivia. I think some of your message got cut off, and you didn't. There's no trivia there. I'm going to credit you with trivia. Penny and Mahalis from Quebec say, hello, Shawn, the very lovely Raven, amazing GSN crew, and fellow rockhounds. I hope this finds everyone well. As for the selenite, what am I specimen last week? My first thought was barite, but I doubted myself, so I didn't write it. Trivia, cerussite, metamic, rosolite, opting out since I just won, getting all that right. Thank you again for the brookite specimen. I haven't received them yet, but we'll make sure that you do. I'll talk to Miss Christie about that, but hopefully, I know the one hasn't shipped out yet. But hopefully they will show up eventually. It'll be sooner than later. But, oh, that's right. You're in another country, and we'll see. The package I thought was for me was for my brother. Bummer. Thanks for another great show. Faves of the week, the fabulous cobaltoin calcite and malachite, the rosolite specimen, spelled correctly, the twisted stilbite with druzy quartz, and the Indian stilbite with celadonite. Good choices, all of them. We have had for your likes, and I bet you wish they were all your purchases. We have had quite chilly and very rainy May up here. Unfortunately, not in Western Canada and in Newfoundland, where the wildfires are burning. Consequently, I was extremely happy today as we had a gorgeous day of 90 degrees. Because we are so deprived of heat and sun for 7 to 8 months of the year up here, I'm always surprised when you complain about the heat. It goes beyond complaining. Yeah, no, we go beyond complaining. We throw up when it's that hot. We can't eat when it's that hot, and I get long COVID kicks in. It's more than just not liking the heat. It's a medical thing. The more years I grew up in Sarasota, Florida as a teenager. You know, the beach. Nothing could keep me out of the heat. You know, I had my beer in clear bottles. That one, yeah, that tasted nasty after I got one. And girls in bikinis. Who cared about the heat? But now that I'm approaching the age that I am, it's a big thing. So, yeah, and the air conditioner runs, and that costs money. And if we could move, I would move somewhere where it's much chillier. But I hear, tell me what your experience is, maybe in the city, about the black flies up there. Let me know about those black flies. If they affect you in more of a city, or is it like a metro in the woods kind of thing, where they are? Let's see. That's it for now. Mahalis and I wish everyone a wonderful week and hope to see you next week. Okay, got your other message there as well, Miss Penny, and we'll take note now. That is it. So, with that said, I tell you what, we had Miss Barbara. She has won a specimen before the Brookite. So has Penny. So she opted that. Miss Gabby has one also. So you know what? I was going to do it anyway, but by default, and because you found that amazing link for me, we are awarding this week's last official trivia gift. Now, like I said, I'm going to do spot trivia in the future or the what am I's, but I'm going to end up taking some of that time and coming up with educational segments for you instead. And I think we'll do that. And if enough of you want to bring back the trivia, just let me know and we'll do that, or I'll surprise you with it from once in a while. So for now, I want to make sure that all those that participated got a free Brookite. So I think there'll be a couple of other Brookites I might be giving out as well. But this one goes to Miss Cindy. Let's show Miss Cindy what she looks like. Look at this. This is one of the larger ones, as you can see. And look at that. Look at that. So this has a combination of wonderful, wonderful quartz. Thank you, sir. And then look at the smoky quartz. Look at these little quartz and then these smoky crystals. And then as we come around the edge, well, first let's cover here. So then we have some more of the, look how well formed these are. And when you get looking at them really close, there's everything from doubly terminated ones to little brookites tucked in between. Right there's one, right there. Look at the tip of the tweezer compared to that size of that brookite. That's what's fun. With some magnification, you can find all kinds of other additional goodies in this. Now, as we rotate this around, look at that. There is a, I believe that to be a large brookite. Let's look over here. We have, oh yeah, there's definitely stashed away in the caves on the side. Let me turn this around this way and look at that neat quartz. Look, here we have brookites tucked away. And then look at these larger quartz specimens. There's a brookite tucked away down in there. And it is a marvel. Look at all these, especially under magnification, to see just how, look at that big quartz crystal right there. Just how all these came to be. And boy, I tell you what, look at that. To have removed the amount of mud off of this that I did. Now, if you, again, like Miss Barbara said, just take a little sharp pick and you can pick out all of this clay that's still left in there and improve upon the specimen as you're just sitting there watching the show. Okay, so congrats to all of you that got in on the brookites. let me clean that mess up, tuck that away, and we're going to start the show. This is something you don't often see. It was from my personal collection. And again, as time passes, I'm letting go some of these beauties. Now, there's more to this than meets the eye. That's just the angle that you're looking at now. If you look down here, it gives a little hint of more to come. What's over here? Yep, incredible ruby jack. Look at that color of that sphalerite. Beautiful, beautiful reddish brown color tones to it. But that's only one cool feature. Look at the side angle to that calcite crystal. Just, there's no other calcites on it, just growing there all on its own. How cool is that? But the really neat thing, and not too many places can you find this, are the reaction halos that you see, these little purple spots. And if you, well, you might be able to see just at the angle that I'm at right now. Let me get a little sharper point and show it to you. Look right there in this, what would be the center. And what you're looking at with Chuck on the wheel right there, let me go in a little closer here. You're looking at the chalcopyrite. You're looking at the chalcopyrite. And let me see, let me pull this up if you can stay with me there, Chuck. And then a little bit more. Actually, if you stay with me, I'll get behind this. And that'll give us what we need. There we go. All right, let's look in the middle. Boy, you can see right dead at the top one, right there, center. Maybe if I get another hand, I can help point to it. You can actually see the little metal. I say metal because that's what it has, a metallic glint to it. Right there's another one. Where's a perfect one? Right there. Look at that chalcopyrite center. Right there. The light and angle has to be just right. There you go. You can see that one on the, look at that. You can even see the little crystal form. There's another little one. And so on. Look at those. So you can see the chalcopyrite centers. They're called reaction halos. Some people call them, reference them as radiation reactive halos, and that can very well be the case due to the different environments that it may come in. And that is one of the reactions you can get if and when it does get exposed to that type of environment. So really cool to see that, especially then making those beautiful purple spots. That's actually desirable. And then look at this. This has a classic look for the Elmwood, Tennessee. Elmwood, Tennessee, world renowned for its calcites and fluorites. So you have, let's see, additional stair stepping there. Very desirable here as well. And then you have that translucent. Let's just put the light behind that a little bit and see if we can't. There we go. You see that nice, rich, ruby, brownish, reddish, brown, orange kind of color tone to that sphalerite. And then the crystallization of it. And then look at this that I didn't actually notice before. This has some beautiful fluorite crystals that are part of that formation. And look at that. I hadn't noticed that. That is a definite plus for certain. I kind of wonder what that little golden area there, if it's a chalcopyrite that's inside the fluorite, that would be additionally special. So lots to look at in this piece. And these are very collectible when they have everything going on that you're seeing. The calcite, the sphalerite, and the reaction halos. You just don't get to see that many that are available in the market that speak like this one does. I have a fantastic opportunity on this, price-wise. How about it's a it's easily a specimen that would be in a $150 to $200 range with everything going on. I've got it right now. Special. Let's do $68. $68. We got a lot to do today, so I don't want things to have to resell them again. Making it $68 should take care of that. Let me show you another really, if you are into something that is a collector's item, pay attention to what I'm getting ready to show you. This is item 126 70 25. 126 70 25. And let me. Okay, let me scan that one, and then let me put in the other one. Yeah. Okay, let me move that. What was that item number you had for the Oh, okay, great. That's what I need. 1, 2. Oh, thank you. 126. What was it? 126. The the no, the Brookite. The Brookite. Yeah. Okay, she has it. We gotta keep all. Okay, 126 20 7 25. There we go. All right, and now we're in business because we gotta keep Christy happy. Okay, now this item is something you haven't seen before, and wow, for a lot of reasons. So let me put that right here and let me raise this so we can see it for all that it is. Check this out. Okay, this is Egyptian goethite, but it has made a transition from marcasite. This is a world-class piece for many different reasons, and the really, I think one of the neatest things about this, I wrote up a little additional information about this, and it comes with the specimen. It might be easier maybe if I just read it. So first, let me just flash that in front of you real quick so you can see pseudomorph goethite after. All right, so while you're focused on this piece, let me just read. This is a pseudomorph. Pseudomorph is where one mineral replaces another through various processes. Okay, now these famous pseudomorphs are from a remote area of the White Desert of Egypt near Libya. How many specimens we ever had from Egypt? Most specimens from here are stellate sprays, meaning star-type sprays, and are miniatures to small cabinets in size. This stunning piece looks like a stellar spray with striking blocky and spiky appendages, with blocky, likely pyrite, that has been replaced as well with goethite. Lustrous, nicely burnished dark brown iron oxides, primarily goethite, has replaced the marcasite crystals and then burnished by the blowing desert sands. Burnished, those are those shiny, smooth exterior portions. These were originally formed as marcasite crystals. This is what's amazing. Marcasite crystals on the sea bottom, and then were pseudomorphed, retaining their fantastic form. This even gets better. Listen to this part. They were dug in the remote western desert of southwest Egypt by Parisian dealer Alain Carrion and his son in the mid 1990s. So, this is again what I tell you about these minerals and specimens that are still being found in our current time. No more have been found. This is an extremely fine, lustrous, burnished brown, bladed, outstanding pseudomorph, and is complete all around and pristine with dramatic branching aesthetics. A fascinating form with all of the radiating spear points. These came out a number of years ago with none since. Rare and beautiful material. And, so much more could be said when you realize just how unique and rare these are. No more have been found. There is a limited number. Now, if this doesn't look like any kind of crystal formation yet, let me give you another couple of angles on it and you will see. First, these little blocky appendages, those are not the same crystal system as marcasite. They belong to the crystal system pyrite belongs to. These were pyrite crystals on the end of the marcasite, and they too were pseudomorphed. Look at this. Look at how blocky this one is. That is a dead giveaway that it was pyrite. And so this is from the Farafra Oasis, and from the desert. So think about it. In the desert, yet they grew on the sea floor. Now, a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of different manganese and iron ore and all kinds of different metallic formations that form on the seafloor bed. Actually, there's millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars worth that can be gathered, and they just start forming concretions. So marcasite being an iron oxide. So remember, these are iron oxides, goethite and iron oxide, pyrite and iron sulfide. So all these are available in not only the seawater, but in the process of pseudomorphing it. Okay, then plate tectonics happen. What was once a seafloor is now a desert. And in the process of pseudomorphing, these are what they call floaters. There is no connecting point to matrix or anywhere else. Most of these did form as what they call floaters. In other words, there's no connection point to a matrix wall or any other form. So they grew on their own where they, the material, like on the seafloor, let's say. Now, let me show you from a different angle. This, look at these. Look at this. This is pseudomorphing at its finest when you get that perfect replication. Now, the rounded corners, that's okay because it's explainable. The desert sands, this also proving that it is only from where it is from. And it is no way can this be man-made, knocked off, or anything else. Here's the other cool thing. You actually get desert sand with it. I actually ran this through, and none of them came out. So the sand pebbles you see are pretty much part of it, as they are stuck permanently down, unless of course you wanted to wedge them out. But I think that they are part of the story. That is, they're part of the desert. Now let me show you. For one, you can see that this is a marcasite crystal. The way marcasite crystals can form with arborescent arms. And you can see some arborescent, meaning tree-like or, limb-like. You can see that coming off of it. You can see what they call the stellar spray. In other words, this star-like formation coming away from it. Here's, of course, another one. And then, of course, you can see the blocky pyrites there. This is phenomenal as a pseudomorph from an extremely rare and hard to find area, that there are no more coming out. There was one batch, they were found, and that was it. That was it. So as we turn this in the different angles, you can see just how, look, when you start knowing what you're looking at, the ribbing of was the marcasite. And if you look up marcasite crystals, you'll see how they can form in an arborescent pattern, and then of course being replaced. And then of course imagine it all being tumbled or windblown in the desert, giving it this what they call the polished burnished look naturally. So if this was in its original form, you would see beautiful marcasite, you'd see well-formed pyrites. So take it back in your mind to what it was before, what it is now. And, imagine that as a stunning specimen. But adding the rarity factor to it is the fact that it has pseudomorphed into something else that is very still recognizable as a pseudomorph with those pyrite inclusions. And of course, talking about the arborescent branching this has, and again, it is displayable in pretty much any angle that you want to turn it. And who knows how many creatures you might find looking at it. But really, like this one, just pick this one. You can see the blocky pyrite. You can see three outstanding, what would have been arborescent crystals of marcasite. Two more pyrites right there that are really still well formed, retaining their original form. That's just the one angle. And there is many others that tell the same story. Look at that with that big pebble of sand in there. How cool is that? Um, really cool, and really rare. So this is, if you ever wanted to collect pseudomorph, you need to add this one to your collection. It has been a really special piece. And remember, it's not that old, but that's it. They're extinct. There are no more. And with that factored in, the price could just be whatever you want to make it to be, because go find another one. I have looked, and I have not seen anything else like this. If that goes up in auction, wow, the price just goes well beyond what I'd be willing to pay for it. So, me not having really any idea of kind of what estate it came from, it did come with a ID card, which was correct, and it was easy to verify the origin. Look at that. Even like the sand looks like a pink sand pebble right there. Look at that. The beautiful colors of the sand. How neat is that? Okay, anyway, here's a super value for it. Only $118. Only $118. And I can tell you this, it's a fantastic opportunity price-wise. Now, I don't know relative to others, because there just wasn't anything else I found that I could compare to. Even some of the big mineral houses had nothing like that to compare to. So take advantage of it, because I know it's a fantastic price. Okay, let's look at item number 124 3325. 124 3325. And this, again, this is a mineral that I simply love, and I think it's beautiful. And of course, remember the story I have on that dreary, sad day when I'm sitting there wanting to rock countess in an apartment complex, and with my little 4-year-old son, nowhere to go except down the hill to a little tiny creek. And in that tiny creek, there was an apartment complex up on the other side of the hill. But in that tiny creek, I looked down, and I'm tiny, like 2 feet wide, like 2 inches deep. There were 1-inch kyanite crystals. And, I would needed my faith boosted that day. And I tell you what, when those were all of a sudden right there, that was it. I knew that the world was right and everything was going to be fine in my newly divorced life, and it was, kyanite. It was kyanite that told me everything was gonna be okay. That, and Latif tells me that. So those two things can't go wrong. Latif really is a wonderful boost to my days, when he always sees things in a positive light. So hats off to him. This piece, did you see how beautiful that is in its form for kyanite? And by the way, that will glow an amazing red in with fluorescence. So that is a bonus to it if you have a fluorescent mineral collection as well. So enjoy that extra part. Look at that. Look at those crystals going every different way. So that again displays. How about that? All that $24. $24. Kid you not. Yeah, I know. Because that has got just an aesthetic, wonderful look to it. Look at that. The aesthetics. You can get other kyanites, but they may not have, look at that, clear quartz associated with it. And it may be just a place could come from anywhere. And that's where origin, provenance matters so importantly. I know the exact mine it came from. So that to me counts for a lot. And that one crystal radiating up like that, can't go wrong. $24. Okay, now let me show you. I have one of my favorite combination of minerals because the two together look so beautiful. This is item 1251825. 1251825. And check this out. Look at this. Look at this for colors. Whoa, look at that bad boy. Loving it. It has the pizzazz that those two colors can bring. And because of the two unique crystal forms. Now remember that azurite is often pseudomorphed by malachite. It doesn't often happen the other way around, but you will see many azurite crystals replaced by malachite. So they kind of do a dance with each other sometimes. The azurite as crystals, they're beautiful, beautiful crystals, the way azurite forms. And some of these look like they could be sapphires by way of quality. So it's kind of neat when you see a malachite like take on a form of a crystal like that. You know it's a pseudomorph. Look though at the incredible botryoidal form of the malachite in this, and look at the bed of wonderful azurites. This is a wonderful Moroccan specimen. Look at that, and then look at the azurites are scattered throughout this piece with the malachite. And this is one like that right there. You know, it's sitting right there on top of that malachite. I am going to leave it to all y'all if I can't get enough light on that. There we go. Here we go. Because it's just, in the meantime, let's stop and look a couple there. Look at that. Look at that one sitting on that malachite. That's what I'm talking about. You know, when you focus in on, let's say, just one individual crystal, look at that. Look at what Mother Nature had to do to grow all those others first. And at the end, an azurite decides to grow right on top of that malachite. And there is so many other wonderful situations. Look at those crystals right there. You see the two, or especially the one going right on the malachite. I mean, it's unending. The beauty that you can find in this piece. There's actually a little bit of dust on those that you can wipe off and clean them up as well. So anyway, here is a piece that I have it sale priced. And again, this is so showy. Let me see the back. We didn't even cover all this. Yeah, look at that. Look at the back. Even if it just showed the back of it, that's a valuable view. So yeah, you have a double-sided lot going on here. And now it is deeply discounted to only $38. I know, $38. A incredible look. Now, if we stick with that same subject, I have shown this before, and Raven and I decided that this is the last time we're going to show it before we keep it. It is item 125. 0325. 1250325. And this is a too striking of a piece to just mark it down so low that it just doesn't make any sense. Look at this. So leaving the two side by side for a moment, you can see crystals of azurite. Well, look at your standard crystals of malachite. They can either be long and fibrous, or you get that little druzy type form. Azurite, bigger single individual crystals can form and then replaced by malachite. Okay, so this is striking. So it's sitting up nicely on its own. You can see right on the glass. Yeah, there is some treasures. Let's see. Oh, there it goes right through, all the way through there. And let me here's some wrapping material, Miss Raven, if you need any. Okay, let's see. Oh, look at that eye going right through. That's always fun to be able to backlight and bring light through it. Then you have chrysocolla. This is a stunning piece. Look at the banding of the chrysocolla here. Chrysocolla very desirable in these pieces. And you can see the malachite covering the chrysocolla. This is a multi-generational phase growth. This also, you have heterogenite here. Heterogenite, a ore mineral. And then look at this. You can see the crystals of malachite protruding from the chrysocolla base. Then look at the multi-layers of chrysocolla by the different colors and banding. So many different stages of multi-generational form here has occurred. Look at these. Look at these. Look at that. And then look at the powder blue on the botryoidal chrysocolla. Look at that. Isn't that cool? These guys are great because they like to hear comments when you guys find something really beautiful. I know both of you all enjoy mineral specimens. Look at that powder blue. I actually hadn't discovered that on this piece before. That's really gorgeous, actually. Now let's take a look around the back of this because oh, look at this. See how the fun doesn't stop there. Look at that. That is really high quality chrysocolla by way of the color. Look at that banding coming through here with the heterogenite. That's beautiful. And then look at all of that going on. See, look at this. Then the chrysocolla. This is a stunning specimen. It is double-sided. As there's that opening there. So as we come away from it, look at that. Look at that. That is an incredible specimen just looking at it from that side, but turning it, look at, how can that be double-sided? I know. You're right. I'm not sure which one I like better either. This one's, it has just a neat kind of one-dimensional front. I know, that's what I mean. I kind of like this, the flat, you see it all in one look. This one, you have a lot going on. You're right, it's almost too busy. I mean, that's not a bad thing when it comes to a mineral specimen. I mean, but your eyes don't know where to go to. They're busy all the way around it. And this one, it just almost is soothing because you just get one nice peaceful glance at it. And I know people think, listening to the way I describe something as maybe kooky, but when you look enough mineral specimens, it's the reaction. It's just like looking at a painting in a museum. And people say, how does it make you feel? What do you see? These are the reactions that the artist or the gallery wants to hear back, even as crazy or unique as they may be, because works of art, whether they are man-made or whether they are made by Mother Nature, you will react to. There's a reaction that you'll have. Good, bad, positive, negative. Some things, a painting can make someone cry if they can relate to it in ways. I have a mineral specimen that makes me cry. It's the one that I bought for real, and it was fake. And I'll bring that in and show everybody and put myself in a place that I was humbled by it. But it's a great real life story. It happened to me from a Morocco specimen. But so if I ever see Galena again, that's why you might see things, maybe my eyes glow red or something. But even mineral specimens you can have a certain reaction on without it being radioactive or a bad memory. This piece, I don't know, just something nice and subtle about it. So how about this? It is on sale, ridiculously enough. It was very well priced at $228. Yeah, combination of chrysocolla, malachite like that, double-sided. Those are valuable in the marketplace. But you guys, probably need to look at some other sites, and then you might really appreciate the opportunities I am offering here. I know there's many of you that do, and I am grateful for that. But there's more of you. Come, step up, treat yourself to something that you're buying. I say a quarter for a nickel, a dime for a penny, that kind of thing. You're making money on what I call on the buy. In other words, on the upfront side. Now, Uh, Latif won't like this, but I have this super sale priced $148. $148 because it's the last time I'm going to show it. And so that's it. Last time I'm going to show it. It is worth well beyond that. Up in an auction, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I know. No, I'm not sure. I always regret it when I do that. I always regret it. But I know. And 228 it should be. With chrysocolla on the double-sided piece. Well, you're making me change my mind. So look at that. Look at that. There is not a part of that we didn't even look at this bottom part. Look at the chrysocolla river going right through there. And then what in the world is going on over here? There's more botryoidal formations of it could be a really light chrysocolla. I didn't get it in part. I know. Unfortunately, others did. Tell you what, though, if it doesn't sell that price, that baby is coming home. And you know, it's funny. Raven and I already talked about that. And we said we loved it so much that this was the last time I told her. I made it. I made her a promise. I said this will be the last time I show it. So, no, I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, if I said anything more now, I'd sound, disingenuous. So make it the 148. 148. Sorry, I know. I feel it. Item number 1266625. Wait, hold on. This goes to, oh, here it is. I found that bag for the fluorite after all that. Isn't that the way it happens, though? Yeah, that's the way it happens. Sorry about that, gal. We go to item number 126. Wow. 6925. 1266925. Let me make sure that comes up correct. Yep. You need something. What else do you need? The which one? Oh, yeah, you do need that. Okay. I was too excited about still looking at it. Okay, so check this out. Check this piece out. This is stunning because it has some extra goodies. Here you go. And these extra goodies, a lot of people aren't going to know what they are unless you get the correct information. Now, when I have red calcite, fluorescent red, and I am talking about fluorescent. Now, when we look at this, we're looking at calcite for one. So let's talk about the calcite. The calcite is the mineral on the interior. The little exterior that you see, crystals, and also crystals on the inside of the amethyst, and some, let me see if I can catch the angle correct. No, that might break the surface. Nope, those are all on the inside. Let me show you this calcite. Okay, here you can see the calcite on the inside, and then it is surrounded by quartz. This one is a penetration calcite. You can see the calcite crystal extends within it, but you can also see there is quartz crystals growing to the outside of it that extend on the calcite to the interior of it as well. That is really unique and different, especially because it is not your standard druzy quartz. It is cristobalite. Now, if you remember, quartz proper has about 7 other polymorphs. Other varieties of quartz that have the same chemical makeup but a different crystal system to them. And this one happens to be cristobalite. And cristobalite, if it sounds familiar, remember we talked about that. That is the also the formation in snowflake obsidian. The white snowflakes, they are of cristobalite. Now, the type locality, meaning the original discovery for cristobalite, was a place called Cerro San Cristobal in Hidalgo, Mexico. So Mexico was the original discovery of this other variety of quartz. Regular quartz is trigonal in its crystal form. This cristobalite is tetragonal. tetragonal. And tetragonal, let's see, chalcopyrite is tetragonal. So if you really look closely at these crystals, you can actually see the difference in the crystal form. Unlike other quartzes like beta quartz and other quartz where you can't visually see a difference in the crystallography, this is one you can. If you look at this crystal in general as an amethyst, most people would just glance it on by. But when I showed you, this almost looks like there'd be crystals on the surface, right? But there wasn't. If we turn this to the side, look, it's perfectly flat. Nothing. You are also witnessing the additional formation of quartz within quartz. This is cristobalite within quartz. This is cristobalite that formed around the calcite. Now, the fluorescence will tell you everything. Put the fluorescent light long way to this, and the calcite portion of this will glow incredibly red, including deep into the amethyst, but the cristobalite will not. So when you shine the fluorescent light on it, that tells you so much. That's why a few simple tools can answer and would tell you. Normally, I'd see that, and you know what I'd think? I think that's calcite surrounded by another form of calcite, just a little bit different crystal form. I think it was calcite and calcite, which is often the case. But to separate the two, in that case, fluorescence told me right away that no. And then I did hardness, and I could tell that it was harder and it wasn't fluorescent, because you can have two forms of calcite, one fluorescent and one not. But when they're not and they're that close together, that's a kind of a tip to look a little deeper as to what it might be. That's an amazing specimen. The color is amazing. And if you ever wonder what this is, when you see this, this is where it is actually broken out of a cluster of other crystals. And this is how it looks like kind of when it is broken off of there. You can see also this has colors, phantom colors. In other words, layers of purple. And I did not check it for all the way around for anhydrous, for any water bubbles. So that's always a plus to look for. Now, here's the other neat thing. When you put the fluorescent light on this entire piece, I would have thought that the flat part would be calcite and this other is cristobalite. Nope. There is no fluorescence to this section at all. So this flat area is cristobalite. And you can make out some type of crystal form to that as well. So that's a neat, extra, unique type of inclusion. Look at that. So this is a definite quartz collector's dream for a specimen, because it has a story to tell and has some unique minerals in the cristobalite as far as quartz and quartz. And beautiful. And it's a good deal. Oh, by the way, Ametista do Sol, that is the area when you talk about geodes, amethyst geodes, and they mention Rio Grande do Sul. So that would be correct as well. This is a little area, Ametista do Sol, within the Rio Grande do Sul larger area. And this is an area well known, of course, for producing stunning amethyst geodes. All right. So this specimen, a excellent opportunity for you. I have two others I'm going to show you that will go along with this, but a little bit different pricing, a little bit different look. Price on this one, let me make sure I get you the right price on this, is only $38. $38. Next item is item number 1266725. 1266725. And take a look at this one. Now, this might be my fave, but that's just because it's got lots going on. Again, now that you know the interior of all these calcite, so you can see calcite. You can see to the outside, druzy quartz. Look at that one sticking up there. That might help you look at it and understand the different crystal system to it if it is truly a cristobalite. Now, yeah, so I can tell you that these others are cristobalites. There can always be a regular type of quartz, so watch for those and look for the differences. Now, really the coolest thing about these, because there's what, 4 of them, 5 of them. Here, yeah, here's the calcite. The color red, the fluorescence is phenomenal. So if you like fluorescence, this is beautiful, beautiful. Then you have the crystobalites as well. You can see, I love it because it looks like it just plugs in to a crystal cluster. Look at this. I know. Look. So you get this wonderful banding. And let me backlight this a little bit because I know it will. Look at that. Look at those look at the cristobalite crystals glowing like that. If I find an anhydro in here and turn this, and all of a sudden I see a big water bubble move, yeah, you're gonna hear me say sold really quick. But this is how you check for them, by the way, with some magnification and a strong backlight. But you can also see the phantom formations in this within the amethyst and some of the crystal growth to it. And if I keep looking, I fear, I sense an anhydro, but I don't know. I don't know. I better just not find it because I would hate to have to raise the pricing on this one. I would just have to keep it. Simple as that. What do you couldn't believe? $58. $58. This is, as you can see, if you didn't notice, a twinned crystal termination, and lots of calcites. And look at that. You can see right down into them, which is kind of cool. You can see that they're terminated, so that this was not broken off. That was got its termination. Very, very, very one of a kind type of material. Only $58. Now, let me show you the last of these three. I didn't have many when I got these many years ago, and kept some of my faves, and you're getting to see them right now. You have 126 6825. 126 6825. And let me replace that one with this one. Here you go. I guess. Okay. Take a look. Yep. Now this one is, they all have their different characteristics. I like it because it has that really neat banding. Something as simple as that. And then that wonderful calcite with the cristobalite on it, and of course, a fluorescence as well. Then here's the other neat thing about this piece, and I guess I ran out of room and didn't have room to put it on there. The hematite. Yeah, look at the hematite. So most people would actually think this is rutile, and in most cases I would say it's rutile, but in this case, I don't think it is. It is hematite, and then you also have some other darker inclusions around it. Could be either hematite, but most likely goethite, another iron oxide. So that's a little bonus right there. And again, little irises everywhere. Look at how beautiful that is. And when you turn it right on the angle like that, you can see a couple other amethysts coming up, and just so attractive. I made this one price for everybody and anybody, and don't have another one like it. So how about this? Let me do this. $24. Only $24. I try to have something for everybody, and that is a really wonderful deal. Again, lots of, you have to have crystals like this so you can compare others and have knowledge. And ones like this can give you that knowledge. And the more you look at it, the more you learn from them. Like I was just looking at right down that angle where the hematite was. And then over here, I see more hematite. So it all tells a story. And that's, I'll stare at stuff that I sell for $24 for an hour. And that's, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Where I get all confused because I love the stuff. Item 125 4125. 125 4125. Now, this is, remember when I showed several of these? This is one that I had that is remarkable. Maybe I gave you the wrong item number. I probably did. 126 4125. Yep, my fault. 126 4125. And this is really cool, as Chuck just said. It is one of the longer connected cavensites. And remember cavinsite, that's probably my favorite mineral giving the most information. Calcium, vanadium, silicon. That's what it's made up of, and that's how it is spelled. So how perfect is that? Watch for pentagonites. They are very similar to cavensites, a little bit different crystal system, and you're supposed to be able to look at them and be able to tell in the sunlight a little bit different color. I don't know. I just play it safe and call them all cavensites. This is remarkable. These, how long these crystals are, and they are in that great a shape because they are protected down in that vug. And if you look at them, they grow right up into the stilbites. That is beautiful. That is simply beautiful. And of the ones I showed, I can't believe this one wasn't sold. You can see that this is like in a grotto. This self-displays wonderfully. Look at that in its own little grotto. I'm going to sale price this one. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. So take advantage of it, especially a lot of bang for the 36 bucks. Right there you go. All right, now. Oh, that's a good one. Next. This is one, Miss Cindy, that now you can use what was on your mind. Item 1267125. 1267125. And boy, oh boy, this is a real collector's piece. And it won't take you long before you realize why. Yep, those yellow crystals. There's your wolfenite. So, Miss Cindy, it was just on your mind. It was just a couple weeks too early to have wolfenite on the brain. Look at this betrothal. Look at this. I mean, is this not cool stuff, Mr. Chuck? I mean, it's just amazing that you can have the iron oxides. Wolfenite is a lead molybdenate. So it is a ore for lead and molybdenum. Molybdenum, if you haven't heard of it, is in the chromium family or related to chromium. They're used for hardening steel and other very needful uses, critical uses. Yeah. Look at that perfect crystal right there. This is from the well-known Los Lamentos, the eruption mine. They call it from the Los Lamentos mountains, and they're called that way because when the wind blows between the mountains, it makes this eerie sound that is soulful, lamentful. And that would be neat. I have not gotten to experience that, but I think to hear that, it would put a great, a great audio and visual sound to the name Los Lamentos. Eruption Mine, I think we can figure out probably how that got its name. When I lived in Mexico, I lived in a little state. I was a missionary as a teenager, and it was called Colima. And Colima, the state capital was Colima. It was small, about 50 miles from Acapulco, and there was a volcano there, and it was active, and it was pretty neat to see. And at times you could actually see red. So yeah, Mexico has some active volcanic areas, and that's why you have your obsidians and your basalts and your rhyolites that the opals are in. Look at this. Look at these forms. Look at the goethite. And then I see a little reflective area on some of these, and what it could be, as it is in a lot of different cases, there can be a gypsum maybe form on some of this. Look at these crystals tucked in amongst the goethite. Now, I find that wolfenite, and from this and particular mine, is very desirable to the mineral market. It's one of the items that it gets always really bid up, especially if you have some particular formations and colors. Look at this. Look at these. This is in fantastic condition to have wolfenites that are that thin, and I see very few that are damaged. And wow, let's look right down in there for a moment. Whoa, look at that. Wow, I did not see that and look down in there myself. There, oh, wow. That is cool. That is cool. Yeah, isn't that neat? I didn't look at that. That is really neat. Now, will I respect down a little so we can take a look at this other area. Now, this, someone might think, oh, that's just some plain quartz, or that's calcite, or that's some. No, that is cerussite. That adds weight to it. Cerussite's the lead carbonate, like calcite's the calcium carbonate, cerussite, lead carbonate. And you can, cerussite has crystals that are recognizable. So, and often forms with these other minerals. So it was like an easy determination. When I got this piece, it only said wolfenite. Well, that was easy. So the other things, luckily, were easy to figure out. And then when it had the eruption mine, then it was easy to figure out it was from Los Lamentos. So in looking at this, I did not clean this. Cleaning it may help it a lot. It may just be dust. And let me show. Oh, I don't have it here. I use an old makeup brush. At least she said it was old. Maybe I just took it. A horsehair. And it works really great for brushing and dusting off pieces like this. So a makeup old horsehair brush, right? That you gave me. Works really well for that. So this piece has the crystals on both sides, yellow on black. That makes it a real attractive combination. And then there is additional mineralization left for some of you to do some identification on. I see some non-botryoidal crystalline forms there. And then there's this formation. There is some funky things going on there. And then let me look into this guy. Look at that. Look at back in there. I mean, that's where, that's where you get out and you literally play with your rocks and minerals, and that's the fun you have. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you enjoy, and that's how you learn. That's how you learn. Is look at that. Wait, hold on. Look at this right over here. Oh, no. That's kind of neat. It looks like a oh, that's a wolfenite blade down in there. So that piece stands up on its own, has a lot it wants to say to you, and it's going to say it for only $98. This is a phenomenal specimen and is one that the market loves. The market loves a wolfenite and specimen. And the eruption mine, look at that with the cerussite there. That's a great angle. And a very desirable location for that to be from. And I debated on the price, and I wanted to get less than $100 when I knew that it should be hundreds of dollars. But I just did it. I just made it cheap, plenty cheap. Okay, now we have lots more fun coming up here for you. Let me show you something I have not offered in quite some time. So let me take this off the turntable and wipe it down because you're going to get to see some gems. Be right back. Well, this is a sapphire parcel. Now, mixed origins. I'd have to say, Thailand is probably majority of them, but they could be other origins. I'm not sure. Just some. But what I have is some really neat, unusual shapes. I love that small emerald cut. Beautiful. But then look at how big some of these large sapphires are. And, look at the colors in those too. So only in the last, I don't know, decade, 2 decades, whatever it might have been, have people realized that dark sapphires are the inexpensive ones. For so long, people actually thought that a dark sapphire was valuable And, you know, how I always solved that problem was to compare a dark blue sapphire, and then I'd put it next to a lighter blue sapphire. And I'd say, which color does your eye prefer? What color do you recognize as being a more valuable or desirable blue? And always, it was the lighter color. And so I would tell people, I said, okay, therefore, if you deem it's more beautiful, then why would the darker, undesirable, blacker sapphires be the ones that you would consider valuable? And of course, there's no answer to it. And because the truth of the matter is, the dark ones are the less expensive ones. And it is just because jewelry stores, what they could afford to sell and put in the mountings were the darker sapphires. Before gems became something that was a lot more popular than they used to be. And so people learned through TV shows like ours. Look at that. What was valuable and what wasn't. Look at the reflection out of the other one. So, you know, then they came up with names like Midnight Blue and these whatnot colors. Look at that. I love the party colors like that. So this is a mixed bag of colors. Look at that. Look at. So what I'm asking for the whole parcel is easily the value of just that one stone I just showed you. Wait till you hear. And then you have some of these really neat zoned sapphires that are beautiful in their own right and good for education, good for pendants, good for recutting and whatnot. So you have 9.10 carats here. Think of a value in your head that a parcel like this might be worth to you. And I can assure you that the price I'm going to look at that, there's a really nice cut gem right there. And you can tell by the pavilion that it's going to be a brilliant stone when you're looking at it like that. I look at something like that and I get worried because alexandrites can look like that from the back. But, hmm. You know, that's just how those green zircons, you know, things like this can get into a parcel and then continue on in that parcel until someone either discovers that they're not what they are or it continues to get sold down the line as a sapphire. I'm going to do the bad thing of assuming that that's a sapphire. It does have a funny kind of look to it overall, a little bit different than a normal green. So anyway, check it out. I'm not going to do it any further. I don't want to know because if I find out, of course, it's something more valuable than it is. So doing then look at that. So that's a UV light, and that probably would have actually shown if it would have been fluorescent. Okay, price on all these. You have a figure in your mind? I bet it wasn't as low as $68. I know, isn't that crazy? Everyone's going, what? I know, they're shaking their head. Chuck saying, just any one of the big ones would be worth that. It really is. Just, it's a silly price. And I know, I know, it is upstairs. I would be run out of there because if I was selling my goods that cheap, it doesn't help the way it looks for anybody. So I'm just saying, item 1267525. 1267525. It's only a bargain though, if you buy it. If no one buys it, then, well, it goes unsold and someone walked over a dollar bill because they didn't feel like bending down. Here's another parcel. And here it's 11 carats exactly. Let's take a look at it. This has some unique shapes. Look at that shape. And by the way, you see the way that looks? When people think of cashmere sapphires, They got all this wonderful, incredible, beautiful blue colors and whatnot. Yes, they can be absolutely stunningly beautiful, but one of the characteristics, of course, is in a cashmere sapphire is, for one, it wouldn't be heated, or you would hope that it wouldn't be. Secondly, when it's not heated, the characteristic is a silky blue look. So it's not always going to be a bright, clean, shiny sapphire. It can look as silky as a stone like that, which, you know, most people would not find very desirable. But if it was cashmere unheated, that stone would be worth a small fortune. So these are, again, some educational stones. Look at this. Here is, you know how much I love the party colors ones. Remember the 2-color sapphire ring that Miss Barbara has now that I wore for years and years? Look at that. Look at that fun stone there. You have, look at that. Beautiful color in the large ones. That one's not even clean. Look at the color tint to that, though. Hold on. I will clean out. If you can see that came out, look, hold on a minute. Let me be cleaning that before I change my mind. Look at these. So these, you can tell, were estate stones that had come out of other mountings over time. And again, you have the midnight blue, because that, what, look at that. It's certainly a sapphire and it's certainly blue. These were the kind of stones that were put in rings for decades. It was these color sapphires. But I have been to the market on sapphires. This color blue is not the inexpensive blue that it used to be. These colors now are even gone quite up in price. There's just in the natural gem market. Look at that stone. Look at that stone. Now, of course, again, you do the color comparison. Which color, you know, do you think is more valuable color? And everybody is going to say that color blue. Yet the dark color is the one that was marketed as what everyone thought the valuable stone was. Look at that. I can tell that was going to be a brilliant stone. And by color, look at that color tone to it. So there's another one cut similar. Those are actually really nicely cut sapphires. There's a marquee. I'm going to let you explore. I've already shown enough stones. When I tell you the price of this parcel, you should hurry up and say sold on it. Look at that. Look at that. Now, this one, yeah, I haven't forgot. I've been wiping it down in my fingers. Let's take a little look at that. And again, don't know origin, but some of these are looking a little bit more Madagascar than Thai. Yeah, now that's a great blue. And I'd like to know if some of these actually, whether they've all been heated or not. Some of them still kind of have a silky look to them. Kind of makes me wonder, because remember, heat treating melts the rutile needles that create the silk back into the corundum itself. That's what improves the clarity and why they do it. So let me move that over here a little more. Look at that one. So that one has a really pleasant blue color tone to it. Okay, here we go. The whole parcel, 11 karat total weight, big stones and everything. Price this. Why not? I'm going to do it. The other parcel was 68. This is bigger, has some fantastic stones. That means it's $78. I know, only $78. I expect both those parcels to sell. If not, then what is the point of me making them so inexpensive if no one buys them? Okay, next. Oh, I love this. I've put these together for a long time. I was going to make a ring. Item 126-7725. 126-7725. And I put these two together because I thought about creating a masterpiece of just these two. Natural color, as far as I know. I know the beryl is. The aquamarine, not too sure about that. But look that is a classic natural color for a good golden beryl in that. And the aquamarine is just your classic, really gorgeous color. And calibrated size. So they would make a neat ring for a barrel family piece. Look at that. Look at the size. And I put them both because the other one looked so much like a citrine, and the other was such a. You can see it's older tube by the tube background, and that I checked them both on the refractometer to make sure that something else hadn't slipped in. A topaz. Look at that, or a citrine for those stones, and they had beautiful, beautiful gem. And the aqua, look at that. This is a really nice cut stone as well. Excellent opportunity on these at a wonderful, silly Shawn price. And I must be stuck on this number for some reason. What is the total weight? This is crazy. So 3 carats. I know. This is really silly. Stop that. $68. I know I did it. I did. $68. So again, prices are such that it would be silly not to get them, but that does happen. Let me show you. Oh, that scepter. I cannot read that piece. I guess I have to give it away. This one. I have not offered one of these in a long time, but I decided as an educational stone, item 126 4225. 126 4225. Because of my birthstone, January, garnet, specialized in them, right? Collected them. Well, one I haven't shown you. Oh, that's not it. Oh, but that'll go well with it. Let me give you another item number, sir. It's item 1267 825. 1267 825. Yep. Okay, exactly. So let me show it first. So that first item number I gave everybody kind of goes with it. So we're just going to set that in the background here. All right, but the item number that you're looking at, going to be looking at right now, goes with this jewel. Look at that. Look at that. Let me take it out of the tube. Yes, it is the real deal. You haven't seen many of these, and look at that color. That is your genuine, beautiful Saber. What did he say? Wow. Took the wind out of my sail on that one, calling that a peridot. Calling that a poor little peridot. Nothing wrong with peridot, but compared to the regality of what this really is, peridot's not my birthstone. Look at that. Look at that gem. Now, how many of you would think that that was an emerald if I put that up in a what am I? Most of you would, but it's not. It is a Saberite garnet. And again, in checking that, let me see if I can actually zap that for a minute. In checking that, let me turn that off. No, it still doesn't work. I put the fluorescent light on it, and in reality, if you look at it up close, it will actually turn it orange, as is often the case with those garnets that will be the, as you can look at that one. See, look at the crystal. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Look how orange that is. Can the camera pick that up? No. Move that up. Can you see it? I don't see it. Oh, yeah. No, move it. Yeah. That. Okay. Oh, there you go. You see some orange there. Okay. All right. But the reality of it, look at how orange it actually is in person. In person, look how orange it is. Okay. So, what we have, that is, we'll get back to that item number in a minute. But this is the crystal form that this stone comes from. It's just a nicer, you can see the similarities in color. So we'll set that one to the back. This is an amazing Sabarite garnet. And yeah, yeah. Well, Sabarite garnet, is found in Miralani with the uh, tanzanites, often sometimes in the same piece. I've had specimens where I've had the Sabarite or the Grosser garnet and the tanzanite in the same piece. So the Tsavo National Park that it was named after is actually on the border between Kenya and Tanzania, and there is a deposit on both sides. So I mostly just say Tanzanian Sabarite, even though it could be Kenyan. But this has a lot of look of a emerald due to the inclusions. Let me show you in a white tray, and so you can actually see the brighter color of the Sabarite. And in person, doesn't that have a stunning green? It's really, there we go. You're improving upon what it really looks like in person, which is a really bright, lively, lovely, classic Sabarite green. There we go. Now you're on it. And remember when I had that little round stone and I said, in cutting the little small round Sabarites, seldom do they have flaws or inclusions because the material is usually in those smaller sizes big enough and clean enough to cut them clean like that. But not always the case. They still, in the larger stones like this, of course, they're not going to use that stone for a cabochon or anything. The quality of it is such that it is absolutely facet grade color. But the difference between what it would cost with no inclusions versus what it costs with the little kind of classic garnet inclusions, which are kind of like little salt and pepper or little like really fine dust looking inclusions. Look at that. You can see the little dust inclusions. So I actually put this also on I floated it to test for any magnetism because andradite would and Grosser doesn't. And it had almost zero magnetism. So that was the other thing that was important for it to register. Of course, on the refractometer, it was spot on for Grosser garnet. So without a doubt, that's what we have. Worst case, even if it was an emerald in that quality, it would be worth much more. So I am offering this. It's definitely a Sabarite. I'm offering this. It's a carat 59 and making it less than 100 a carat, only $148. That is less than $100 a carat. And if you ever wanted a nice Sabarite, large Sabarite, this is right close to calibrated 8x6. That is the gem for you. Now, let's go back to item number 126, 4225. 126, 4225. Now, here we go. This is a wonderful collector crystal. And the green is a little bit more intense in person than what you're seeing now, but certainly not quite as good as that. It really makes you really like that stone a lot when you see that. But this in a crystal form, that is really a decent gem, and it would certainly be perfect for a before and after addition to your collection, because if the before was of the same quality, facet grade crystals in that quality, then of course you'd be looking at a significant amount of money. And it'd be really hard to find because most crystals of that kind of quality get cut before they often even get a chance to be sold as a crystal specimen. But this is a really nice specimen with also diopside. The diopside is down here, is right here. And then the graphite right there as well. So you have beautiful, and this is wonderfully fluorescent as well, which makes me curious, which we were just playing with, and we saw it, but we could not show it. It did not appear. Look at that. That is as orange. You can see some orange bouncing off from inside. But look at that in your eye. Look how orange that is. Yeah, in person. Yeah, in person, it's stunning. So Anyway, beautiful crystal here for you, crystal cluster, and I have this on sale. I have this on sale at a. Let's do this so it finds a home. I'd love to sell it with that other Samurai as a before and after. So go ahead and make it only $68. $68 and a fantastic find at that price. Now, this one, item number 1263725. 1263725. When Raven saw this, she couldn't believe it. She goes, "Did you show this?" And I said, "I think so, but I can't believe it didn't sell if I had shown this. This is a remarkable and gemstone. It no longer do I consider this a stone that is semi-precious. Hold on. This is a stone that, with the amount of money that it brings, could no longer be considered a semi-precious stone. That is multicolor moonstone. That is my part of my made in the USA collection. So being from New Mexico, a lot of people don't realize that New Mexico has some gorgeous moonstones, and this is a testament to that, and it is stunning. It is stunning. So this one was Raven's ring that she enjoyed, but she said, "No, go ahead and break my heart and sell that stone." And so no, it's really, in the world of moonstone, I see them price blue moonstone cabochons, and I can't even wrap my head around how much they charge for them. I'm talking about a stone like this, easily 20 to 30 a carat, so $400 to $600. Now, this stone is an older stone, and it may very well be worth that, in that range. I have sold probably the most expensive moonstone that's ever been sold here. It was a number of years ago in the live show, and it was over $10,000. This stone was faceted, and it had so many colors in it. It was finer than really almost any opal I had seen. It was stunning. And the guy was getting it for his wife for his anniversary. He wanted to get her something different. And the only thing, I remember this well because the amount of money, I didn't think the stone would sell, but I gambled on it, and now I wish, as soon as it sold, because I sold it at a good price, but as soon as it sold, I wished I had never sold it, because it is an untouchable, beyond museum quality piece. And the guy said that out of all that, his wife loved to watch the station, so he just let Gem Shopping be on while he was, sitting reading the paper and whatnot. And he never heard her comment about anything she liked. And he said hours and hours, days and days of watching. Basically having it on all the other time when they weren't watching anything else. And the only time he ever heard her say that, "Wow, that's beautiful," or "I like that," was when I showed a faceted, multicolored rainbow moonstone. And it was over $10,000, and he bought it. And it is probably worth 2, 3, 4 times that. It is phenomenal, a phenomenal gem. So I see now the prices of these going way up. This ring, we bought it at a special value when we did, but that was then. This is now. So we're still offering it at a incredible deal. You can see the width in the back of it, and look at how nice that is. You can even see the crystal formation through the different colors. You see those straight lines, and that tells a story in itself. This is, with the yellow and the blue, to me, a much more valuable stone than any just plain blue moonstone. I have this, and I'll make this, it's the June birthstone as well. So this is this month's birthstone. And that's why I'm putting this up as a special opportunity. And if you're, whether you're born in June or not, if you are, then wow, treat yourself. It's, unless you can afford the alexandrite, which is the birthstone for June, go for that. But the other is pearl. And as great as pearls are, I'm a moonstone kind of guy. I got that story about the moonstone deposit I found on Lake Lanier. I'll tell another day. I've sold rough and tumble Georgia moonstones. I like moonstones. This moonstone, silver, ring, and all, with the price that's gone up, I'm offering it for only $118. $118. And I tell you what, I'd wear this ring in a heartbeat. It fits me perfectly. Look at that. Look at that. And look at the clarity and the life to that gem. That is a beauty. So there it is, waiting for a lucky buyer like that weather gentleman. By the way, there's a star ruby, and I may be offering that for sale. It was the Ravens, but unless I size it for her, she can't wear it. So let me show you. I have next. Oh, yes. So speaking of peridot, item 1267325. 1267325. Now, here is the August birthstone coming up right around the corner. Now, when I was going through those sapphires, I came across these peridots, and wow, I really liked them. Look at that. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. Now, I wasn't exactly sure of the origin of these, so I didn't put one. There are slightly different in colors. They certainly look like they aren't Chinese. So let me just put it that way. The Chinese peridot tends to have a little more yellow to it, and that one looks Burma, and these other two look like Arizona. But that's just but look how clean they are. Peridot often has inclusions in them, and those don't. And here, okay, so remember, if you have some greenstones and you want to check and do something the easy way, let's see. Boom, there you have it. Boom, there you have it. And boom, there you have it. Peridot has iron in it. The more iron, the more yellow they are. But in general, iron is prevalent enough that you will get an attraction to the magnet. Any other gem in that color, you really don't have anything in competition that would be attracted to a magnet. So that's a quick and easy way to separate genuine from synthetic. And there's a lot of synthetic looking peridot. It may not be peridot chemically, but synthetic looking material in the market. So I guess it would help if I told you the good deal I have on these peridot, which is crazy. How about this? All three, $38. $38. That's just ridiculous. And but that's what I do, especially when they're that clean. And look at 3 fun different cuts. And if you do cut, this would be a neat one to play around and recut if you desire to. But they're also educational pieces for the type of inclusions, to study them and whatnot if you don't have a larger peridot. It's a great way to get one inexpensively. Now, the next item. This is a made in USA item, 1259425, and wow. Wow, look at this. Let's go back to Graves Mountain, Georgia. Graves Mountain, known as one of the most geological areas really in the world, but certainly in the country. And this rutile, wow. Remember, rutile is a polymorph of, look at that red, of brookite. So they're both titanium dioxides, just of different crystal systems. This, look at that wonderful metallic finish, and then the red flash that so many rutiles are known for. When look at that. Right. Yeah, that is. Look, you can see the red reflections. even though it's considered a metallic mineral, you can see that there is a red component to, not all, but to some of these, and it's also a defining characteristic of it. There we go. Wipe off some of that surface. These were collected right straight from Graves Mountain by my friend Chet himself. So it went from the miner to me and then to you guys. So here's a fantastic opportunity on a really valuable specimen, well formed, red flash. It's a world class piece. Look at that. That is stunning. Um, oh, so I have a note on there with turgite. So let's see if we can't find the turgite. Turgite is iridescent goethite or iridescent iron oxide hematite. So let me see if we can find that. That's going to be here I remember actually seeing some of that on this piece. Here you have some neat quartz crystals on this. It's here. I know it's here, but I'm going to leave it to all of you, whoever is lucky enough to get this piece. You actually can see how there was something here and then it filled in. You also have some pyrophyllite or paraphyllite, some people pronounce it as, on this piece as well. So look at it carefully and look at it for some fluorescent hematite. This one is one that you can have fun with studying. I have got a great sale price on this right now. I am marking it down to a really good deal for you and making this unbelievable. Ready? $118. Rutile specimens like that are not inexpensive and are very collectible. And that one certainly falls in that very, look at the size of that, collectible and beautiful. Oh, with those reds, that's a stunning piece. Okay, so let me here. Okay, I showed you one of these last week. I have one more. Item 126 7625. 126 7625. And what I'm getting ready to show you is another one of those amazing iridescent rainbow androdite garnets, except it's faceted. And now let me show you. There's on this one, this is the way it was originally. So they cut it. And what can happen, because of all the different angles that the crystal forms in, it had a little place that came off the back. But when you look at it straight on the top, you can't see it. So let me show you. Let me show you all the iridescence in this. Let me get, let's see, where is that cloth of mine? It looks like it needs wiping down. And here it is. Okay. So let me turn this turntable here a little bit, get away from some of that dust. And now, iridescent androdite garnet. It is the most valuable type of iridescent androdite there is. And where it's found where it was found, it was discovered in 2004 and it was closed by 2005. The mining for it, because the mining district, it overwhelmed the little Tinkawa village. That this was next to a magnetite mine, and this particular specimen has amazing iridescence on it, and it's just a matter of catching the light at the right angle. You saw that little flare of color there. Look at the table, and this has some remarkable colors at the various angles. Look at the angle even in the mirror reflection, and you can see the purple. This look at that. Look at the reds that coming right there. I mean, it beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And until you tilt it just at the correct angle, you don't always see the iridescence, but it is there. Like, see that? It is right there. There we go. If I tilt it right at that angle, you'll get it. But that is what's so good about this, having so many different faces, like they've cut the checkerboard top. Let me just actually hold this in my hand, and you're going to get a better feel for some of the, look at that colors. Look at the yellows. This is a look at that, a fantastic piece, and it has to do with diffusion, diffraction of light between different layers of slightly different um, chemical makeup in the garnet itself. Look at that purple on that. So this is one of those treasures that if you're a cutter, you might have fun playing with this. If you have a rough stone, you may just want to add it to your collection. Wow, look at that. Look at the red next to the tweezer right there. Wow. And that's what I said. You may not think it has a lot of color until you get it at home and really start looking at it for what it is, and you will just be as marveled by it as I always am when I look at these. Okay, I have this as a special price for someone's collection. These are normally really, really expensive. I have this one for, believe it or not, it's the only one I can offer like this, $68. $68 on that gem. That's well, it's beautiful. Now, item 1218524. This is one of the rarest stones you can pick up by way of a cat's eye and by way of quality. This is part of the made in the USA. Let me show you this. This is, and most cat's eye jade is from Siberia. And it is not very cat's eye like, because they even cut it in a particular way with like a rib down the middle that kind of enhances, almost simulates a cat's eye. This is a classic, perfectly cut cabochon. Look at that, by way of dimensions and by way of shape. Look at that cat's eye. This is from Washington State, a really, really rare locality to find something as gorgeous as this. So cat's eye jade, this is a nephrite, as all the cat's eye jade families are, and extremely rare. This is a world-class, stunning cat's eye. So if you collect any kind of optical stones like I do, this is one that will be one of the hardest ones you could ever get. Yet here's one available for you right now. And I am sale pricing this one to an unheard of opportunity. When you look at 8.73 carats, let's make it only $87, $10 a carat. That is a value. That is a really good value. And that's one of those stones that you just put up, you don't think about it, and then years later you realize, I have one of those. Or you just put it in your collection, enjoy it, and know that you have it when no one else does. So a special piece indeed. Now let me show you this item 1253225. 1253225. Can't believe I have this. This was a set and a wonderful opportunity at a item that will, when you set it out, it will be marveled at by anyone that well, they can't help but notice, because who has a set of gemstone bowls. Look at that. Gemstone bowls. And yeah, these are really cool. So the quality, these have been our own. Yeah, hold on. Maybe I didn't even give it to you. Item 125 3225. Yeah, there we go. Fluorescent Indian moss agate. You say fluorescent. Yeah, that's what throws you off. There's actually fluorescence. Remember, chalcedony can be fluorescent. So there are roughly like 3 different sizes. I just noticed that's why this looks different is we don't have our other kicker.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering why the light's different. See the darker color here? Look at these. Look at these. So, and look at the quality of that carnelian. This is natural color in the carnelian. Look at that. And beautifully polished. And slightly 3 different sizes. Look at that. How cool is that? Here's your chance. All 3 bowls, sale priced, ready, set, say sold. Make it. I don't even know if this makes sense price wise. If it's probably less than what they cost me. $44. $44 for all 3. And remember, they're just not 3. If you like look somewhere and say they have 3 bowls, it's the quality. It's the quality. And these I handpicked for particular reasons. Fluorescence, probably for one. They all have. Look at the translucency to them as well. They all have particular characteristics. This is the jewel right there. All made out of one solid piece and carved and polished like that. Beautifully done. $44 for all 3. Now, I have a few minutes left with you because we aren't doing trivia. So it allows me to be able to show you a few more items, and I have them right in front of me because Raven was kind enough to pick them ahead of time. Let me show you item 124 9225. 124 9225. And this, one of my favorite stones, and one of the ones that I think Chuck needs to be carving on, something soft to start with, as he wants to try his hand at carving. And you can always do 2-dimensional carving, just carve on something flat and level like this to start. Look at that. That is gorgeous, gorgeous. Old material from Argentina, and that will cut some incredible cabochons. You can see, so rhodochrosite is manganese carbonate. Look at that. You have the natural backside to that. Someone has already cut, it wasn't me, something out of that, but this cut will just makes a beautiful natural piece the way it is in a stand, or carve it. You can actually just carve it in relief as like a head. I see it like a head right now. Here's the mouth, and it wouldn't take much to be able to carve like a lion's head or panther head. I mean, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, old stock from the 80s. I have this sale priced also. Take advantage of it. My goodness, yeah, $38. $38 for that. An excellent opportunity for someone, for certain. All right, now to keep going, I'll put these items away later. Let me look here. We have. Okay, yeah. Let me get Chuck on the road here, and let me show this item here at a huge. Let me do this. 124 1025. 124 1025. We're going to run 3 items across really quickly right here. And this next item here is a chance. And also, someone could always carve around that. Look at that. Look at that. Precious. This is not Ethiopian. This is precious Mexican fire opal. I cannot believe no one has scooped that up as a specimen, if nothing else. That is stunning and a discount price, big time. If you want it, take advantage of it. It's sale priced. It's only 30, no, 30, you know what? $28. $28 on that. That's our one last super sale item. Our next super sale item is 125 3125. 125 3125. Super sale. And here we go. This, look at this. This is the incredible piece that I cannot believe is sold. It is a scepter. In other words, you can see where the bottom is narrower than the top. It happens because the top of the crystal grows faster than the bottom portion. Look at that, really rare and aqua. If it didn't have the Clevelandite around it, the muscovite and the lepidolite, you might be able to see a little bit better, but it's much better to have all those. You can also see that it has a bicolor piece to it. Look at that. You have a clear goshenite, look here, aqua here. There's so much going on. Look at the beautiful lepidolite in the pearly look. Here's the muscovite, and then you have the Clevelandite making up the white bladed material here. This is a, look at that. Look at that, self-displaying like that. You can see the stair steps of the scepter. I cannot believe this piece has not found a home. I am going to put a serious discounted price on it. Hopefully that would do it. It was I had this actually value is well over $300. Then I had it for $178. No more than $178. Well, here we go. I'm going to keep it after this price. I'm going to make it this final pricing opportunity. And after that, it goes back home. It's Raven's birthstone after all. $118. $118. If I'm going to show something special at the end of the show, I want to show something that will ought to sell at that kind of price. Item 1219, 724. 1219, 724. I have not shown this in a lot. I actually have Native American goods, but I don't offer them that often. I have this incredible natural Sleeping Beauty Arizona piece. It is signed. It's from the Inspiration Mine and what is known as the Copper Cities mine, where your classic Sleeping Beauty is from. Look at this, Zuni. It is Zuni. Zuni are known to work with this kind of design, and then that is actually the signature underneath it that you see. It's a good thick piece, and price on this, again, it is a sale price of $38, and it is the let me make sure I have, hold on. That one has been mixed up actually with another piece. Let's see, here we go. Let's go with this item, 121.99.24. Sorry about that, 121.99.24. I did have a, another Zuni piece because I was going to compare it to this Navajo piece and the difference in the design. So this is 1219, 724. Yep, there we go. One stone. That's what I was looking for. Size 7. It is signed. Copper City's mine is where Sleeping Beauty from. Look at, there you go. Natural, beautiful, old estate piece. $38 on that. Only $38 on that. And I know that you need to get going there, Chuck. So we will wrap it up with this last item. It is 126 5225. 126 5225. Now, I noticed that amazing, you know, the owl that sold before, well, that incredible, beautiful emerald owl. Here is a chance at this beautiful quality piece. Wonderful nephrite and a discounted opportunity on this. I'm going to make this guy sale priced at only $78. Only $78 on that. So get in on that one. Now, let me just see, since the end of the show is exactly that, the end of the show. And to be fair, I guess I will call that a show. I will put together some other fantastic items. Yeah, here's one last thing, and you don't need to move. It's item 122 9924. 122 9924, and this is the piece that is a true surprise for for me still having this. It is a wire wrap opal pendant, and look at the color in this opal. Australian. It's double sided for the color and the fire in this piece, and silver wire wrapped. Look at that. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna. It's October birthstone. I am going to make this silly. I am going to make this price silly, and by that I mean $68. That's silly. $68. Wait, did I see? Look at the red in that. You know, you could take this opal out, as a matter of fact, because you see the back of this is not polished. You could take this opal out and you could polish that and bring out an entire another stone in there. I saw a band of red. There it goes. There. Look at that. There's some cool stuff going through there and happening. Look at all that color. Okay, $68. That's it. I'll be right back to say goodbye to you in just a moment. All right, so that's the end of the show. We're not doing trivia now, so but we are still taking comments. Shawn at gems.com. So if you want to comment about anything that you saw, any questions, that we're totally open to. We're gonna do trivia maybe off and on every now and again, or maybe the what am I. But until we get a larger participation, I'm just giving wonderful pieces each week out to the same wonderful clients that have supported me all along. So we're looking for more support. More comments come in. If you missed the trivia and want to participate in it, say that. We get enough people that want to do that, we'll come back to it. Gave away great stuff every week. All right, so with that all said, as I told Lateef, because what are you going to do? I was going to say goodbye. He goes, "You're not going to give away the." I said, "No, nothing to give away." But what there will be is more items time-wise to show you, and we're going to do also little educational segments. Like I've been wanting to grow crystals for you again, and the time it takes to show you and talk about that takes time. But I think it's really educational. We're also going to do a piezo electric demonstration, and that is showing you how a quartz or tourmaline or apatite crystal can generate electricity through pressure. I have a voltage meter that we can actually measure that, and a lot more planned for you. So, but what I need you to do is keep please supporting the show, like and subscribe. Thank you. I almost forgot because I didn't know until we hit 10,000 subscribers. I did that without ever saying like and subscribe a single time. It was Miss Barbara that reminded me. He goes, "You know, you can do like and subscribe." I said, "Really?" So I think that there should be a category for reaching a certain number of subscribers, and having never said like and subscribe once, because I'm sure many of you are tired of hearing that. But since I have limited the amount of times I've used it from the start, I get to use it a few more times on the backside of 10,000. We're at like 11,300 subscribers and continuing on. Please show your support. Comments at Shawn at gems.com, and we have a great show planned for you next week. I'll see you then on Monday. Cheers.